Spirit, Father of the poor, illumine the hearts of thy faithful, and enkindle in them the fire of thy love. Send forth thy Spirit, and they shall be created, and thou shalt renew the face of the earth. Let us pray. O God, who didst instruct the hearts of thy faithful by the light of the Holy Spirit, grant us in the same Spirit to be truly wise, and ever to rejoice in his consolation. For the same Christ. St. John. All right, so in the ethical act that we've talked about, you go, can you walk me through it? First love, disposes one towards end.
Intention. Deliberation. Oh, sorry.
Which means what?
Order of priorities.
Nice. Between, you can add this to your notes, goods. So I'm just going to share a little story about that. You know you have an intention when you're able to say that there is a best, a better, and a good. It's not a matter of saying that I don't want to do these two things. It's a matter of saying I want to do this one more. That's the formulation of an intention. What do you intend to do? I intend to go to SJI. When, where, how, that's the choice. Okay. So the intention, you could remember this, is for an end. The choice is for a means. You don't choose an end. You choose means to that end. That's a critical distinction that will save you tons in life. If you're deliberating about what you should do, you're deliberating about the wrong thing. What you deliberate about is how you should do it, not what. And this is a classic scenario that strikes 29-year-old single females. I'm just telling you the truth. It strikes the males too, but just with a lot less vehemence, because the men are half like dead anyway, so they just don't notice. But a woman will call me, 29 years old, single female, and was positive to get this phone call, saying, what am I supposed to do with my life? And you're just like, you can't deliberate about this, because I can't give you an intention. Now what she's really saying is, in her own way, of course I know, but how am I supposed to do what I know I want? And you just have to enter into a 3-hour conversation following the spaghetti trail back to its original source, and then have her say, I didn't write anything down, but it felt good just to talk about it. That's wonderful, because that's called helping people. But this will help me help you in a way that's a lot less painstaking for me.
It's basically you don't want me to call you in a year and 3 months.
I mean, I do, but I don't. You know what I mean? The thing that drives me crazy is that women won't accept that you're different than men. And I think it's because our world says the male way is the right way. And so of course you're not, because this is normal and you're not normal. Of course, so I get it. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with that. It's life is beautiful. I just kind of think that sometimes it's like that's the conversation between a husband and a wife, or between a father and a daughter, between an uncle and a niece. That's a friend and a friend across the coffee table. And this is sometimes it's like, I mean, I can do it once, twice, but some of them I do it 4 years in a row, and you just kind of just get I'm not your husband, So it's like, I'd rather teach you, because it's good to learn how this works. This deliberation, you don't deliberate about it what? You can't. You do, not you guys. I'm not talking about you, because you're my favorite one. just sharing with you that, like, even that conversation is a great conversation. I mean, I'm saying it, putting it down in jest. I'm not actually putting it down. But it's like, really, that's what girlfriends are for. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm just like, that's great because, oh my gosh. And then you talk about it, and that's wonderful. That's like Our Lady's this year, the Visitation. It's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with it. Saying that for this beleaguered guy who's working on a task list, if we could schedule a meeting, I can handle it. But when we don't even schedule a meeting, I get a phone call this morning. He's trying to eat my breakfast. I'm in a crisis. It's just like, I get it, but like, can you write this down for me? Take some steps, like help me out. All right. So that's just the hidden life of the priest. It's just who is always a man, and not married. Not married man. So. And I've been doing it a long time, so after a while you just kind of like, I know where this is going. Intention. You don't deliberate about a what. Always remember that. Don't deliberate about a what. When you find yourself deliberating about a what, stop yourself and say it's really not about a what. It's about a how. What is the what? And sometimes you don't know. That's journeying into that. But if you don't know, then there's no motion. The role of the intention, it's the driving engine. It's the hidden driving engine. What you see is the car. I'm making choices, I'm going to the bank, getting a bank account, I have a house, I've got 3 kids, that's all choices. But behind that, there is this hidden engine of a person who said, I'm going to be on my own, and I'm going to start a family. But you have that intention, start a family. Or I'm going to serve the church. They're vague, right? It's vague and large. I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to be a joyful person. Those are intentions. And they overflow by choices. So the what? Are you going to be a businesswoman or an artist? I'm going to be an artist. That's an intention. And there's like not a lot of hesitation. Because that's pretty clear. That's really what I want. Well, that's going to determine choices about the how. The how, by how I mean when, in what way, how much time, full-time, part-time, for fun, a fine artist, a practical artist, and those are all difficult, but you're going to find the ability to make that choice based on this intention. You deliberate because there are many. By the way, men drive me crazy too. So I really want to make this clear. I love you guys and I love my ministry. I'm just trying to help, see it objectively. But men drive me crazy too. They have all kinds of problems. Men don't call you. It's ridiculous. They don't do anything. They don't tend to think about stuff either. So it's like, how deep does this go? Not very deep. So it's the problem. Deliberate. You have many different ways. That's why you need to take your time to deliberate. I want to be an artist. All right. I could do it in Ohio. I could do it in Denver. I could do it. And so this deliberation entails counsel. And it also entails time. It also entails things like clarity. It's amazing how difficult it is to deliberate when you have a lot on your brain. That's why you go to the ocean, sit at the beach, and then things just kind of like come to you. Or you jog every day. It's where I get my clarity, man. It's true. It's where your brain can be at rest with things. You need that. Phase of deliberation is extremely important, and you need to learn yourselves how you deliberate. For some, it's by talking it out. By some, it's by being alone. By some, it's by doing something else. And what you're deliberating on is, how do I make this intention real for me? So the thing that you're going to take into consideration, as a word I didn't put up here yesterday, called circumstances. Circumstances. I am single, circumstance. I am in Denver, circumstance. I am poor, circumstance. That's very different. I could be single in Denver and rich, but if I'm single in Denver and poor, am I single in Denver with a car, single in Denver without a car? Now, when you deliberate, you obviously don't go through it systematically like that. You'd be kind of crazy. Although I have directees that do that. They actually make lists of everything, and then they do check it off. It's like, that's how their brains function. There are people that do that, but it's rare. Most people just kind of sit with it, and then they find that way. But the energy of how you navigate these circumstances is twofold. It, number one, comes from the intention. In other words, I have a pressure. I'm like cheese going through a grater. There's a pressure, and what will come out will be the decision. But if there's no pressure, then it's not gonna. It's just cheese sitting next to a grater. I gotta do it. I want to do it. I want to make it. And you can't make this stuff up. That intention is gonna really, fit a lot based upon your self-esteem. But there's all kinds of things that can stop this. Not every fish makes it upstream. Not every bear cub grows to be a grown bear. There's a lot of them that die. There's a lot of people that don't make good choices, and it's usually they're not able to make that intention. Okay, they can still go to heaven. They can still be loved by God. They can still be nice people. They just won't be realized. They won't be fully flowering. There'll always be something about them that's kind of missing. And that's okay. Again, we can love everybody. It's not like the end of the world. But a real human being who's fully alive is someone who's like, I'm a mom because I want to be. It's a powerful phrase. I'm married because I want to be. I live in Denver because I want to. I made this choice. I'd rather be in Ohio. Yep, I would rather be in Ohio, but actually, this was what my husband needed. This is what the kids needed. This is where I am, and I will not go back. You're free when you're like that. And you're free because you're moving yourself. This intention, you could almost put it as, I move myself. It's my heart saying, I want to be an artist. I really do. Oh, I'm scared or whatever. That's because, number one, the circumstances is the pressure of your desire. And I'm going to put the second one. It's the pressure of your confidence that it is okay to make mistakes. Life is full of mistakes. So when you got someone who's afraid of making mistakes, they're going to be petrified. You can have all the pressure you want, and they're just going to be, and they'd rather stay safe than make a mistake. Well, when you're afraid of that, you're not going to be able to deliberate. And so you're not going to make a choice. And the whole process dies. You got to have to be able to be like, I'm going to give it a shot. And you deliberate the worst case, and you deliberate your risk. Remember that sister who came to see me, and I told you this story, tell about them in Eagle Eye. And she told me about how one time in her religious life, she actually became friends with another sister. You guys think that we're all like best friends, it was like kind of rare to actually have a friend. And she really became friends with this sister. They were together like 3 months, just kind of like really enjoying each other's company. And sure enough, she gets sent to the other side of the world. And so the sister was really sad. And she went to see Father Philippe. She said, Father, I'm so angry. I finally allowed myself to really have a friend. And God sent her on the other side of the planet. And so if that's how it is, I'm never going to have a friend again. I'm never going to try that again. And she said that Father just sat there and scratched his chin. He's going, he's an old codger. And he just sat there and scratched his chin for like 20 seconds in silence and said, you risk a lot more by not trying again. It's okay to make mistakes. That's, I think, a neat little analysis for you. What I want you to get in touch is where your intention is, because both of you have them. you wouldn't have made the choice to come here if there wasn't an intention inside. And our marketing at SJI, what I'm good at is that intention aspect. The choice aspect, I do my best. I'm not as good at that. I dwell at the realm of intention. So there was something about what we did that spoke to that intention. Dare the heights, be great, serve others, pour your life out. You got one shot, one opportunity. How vague is that, right? But that's all moving at that level of, I'm going to emerge. How do you emerge? That takes a different type of thing. Once you have that, the second thing you need is to be able to be like, it's okay to make a mistake. I can do this. And now you're able to make a real deliberation and really weigh the factors. Do I stay in Denver or go back home? Do I do this type of art or this type of art? Great, no worries. Let's think it through. Elaborate where you're at, elaborate what you're trying to do. But you've got to have that light of that deep intention inside, or else you're never going to push through. Is this making sense? So close your eyes. When you deliberate, you make a choice. When you make a choice, are you choosing a what or how?
How?
Close your eyes. Can anybody give you a what besides yourself?
I mean, other people can give you options, but it really has to be you.
Good. And that's because of the up arrow from intention. So when people are scared to move themselves, they won't. And they'll just ask you to move them. And then they'll constantly blame you. It's happening to me all the time. This is so painful to me. That's why it's up venting, I guess. I'm just like, But that's what happens, is because I didn't move it. You told me. You did this. You told me to come. You told me to do this. You got to own it. And it's vague. The deliberation is, there's many ways to skin a cat. And that's why when you deliberate, you guys, it's really important that you stay in charge. Stay free. Get many opinions, but it's mine. Guys, there's many ways to skin a cat. I'm amazed by this in the business world. I mean, there are so many different ways. It's almost infinite, the ways that you could go about doing things. Do you get your computer processing system, their CRM up first, or do you first get your personnel? It's like, some will say this, some will say this. What's the first area that you focus in on? Recruiting or staffing? And you listen to them all, but then you keep yourself free, and then you make your choice. Of the many, there comes down to one. One executable. One action. This is what I'm going to do. And you can always go back. You can always refine. It's a process that's not defined. Like on the board, it's a flow chart from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But in life, it's a constant. It's always adjusting. The thing you don't adjust is this. This is like really fun. And then, or you can, but if you adjust this, you reset the whole table. So when you're really looking at intention, you can't really adjust it. You don't. Like a real intention, it defines you. A real intention for me is, I'm going to be a priest. Now, I've chosen to be a priest who founds a school, but that choice can be revisited. But I'm never going to revisit this.
So, like, your intention is usually broader, as in, like, you could say, my intention is to find God. how you go about that is then all of those means of the choice and how you can change it. But it doesn't have to specifically be like,
Not even as specific as an artist.
yeah, it could be much broader than that, and that's
Exactly.
still a moral intention.
Yes, and some are narrower, some are broader. It's more the function than the thing. So it could be someone like, I'm a person of quality. I wouldn't do that as an artist, right, Don? But it'll always do this order. Yeah, there's many ways I could live. And I know this is who I am. Like this. So you could almost like an intention might be, yeah, you guys know that. So when you're out there doing your deliberation, remember this can last years. Deliberation, and it's a process. It's constantly interchanging these three things. You're not like on stage 2, when am I going to make my choice? You'll make a small choice and go back to counsel. Counsel will be advising you as you're in this mess throughout your life. Because you can break choices down really, really small. The choice to brush my teeth, or much bigger. What am I going to do after SJI? Good. That's great. So spend 2 years in counsel deliberating on what I'm going to do post SJI now that I got here. And then, well, so this is great. And then you're thinking it through, and then you're going to have to find one. You're going to have to do something. So this is what I'm going to go with. And then you revisit that. And this is all okay as long as it's moving forward into executables. It's when you're no longer executing on anything, that's when you're in danger. Because this back here is going to die. So, do you remember Pink Floyd's song Comfortably Numb? It's one of those like tragic teenage songs. It goes like this, right? When I was a boy, I caught a fleeting glimpse out of the corner of my eye. I turned to look, but it was gone. I cannot explain. You would not understand. The child is gone. The dream is done. I have become comfortably numb. And on, and on, and on, This is teenage songs are made of, It's the whole idea of like, dying inside. Well, you wouldn't die inside, Mr. Pink Floyd, if you actually executed on what you saw. So instead of becoming a rock and roll musician, maybe you should become a priest. You'd be bored again. All right, so this first tension, this first love into an intention, this is the self-esteem, I deserve to be happy, allows me to say I want this, allows me to think about how I'm going to do it, and allows me to come down that one execute. That then has to pass through this mysterious stage called, please?
Imperium.
Which means, okay, thank you. And what's the command in Latin?
Ad hoc.
Good try.
Fuck hoc.
Fuck hook. You have to say correctly. You have to.
Careful there.
It's a very dangerous phrase. 5. All right, that imperium is an act where my will obeys my mind. And it gets easier by training. It really is. It's not a natural thing. It's something you just practice at. It probably gets easier with age, too. Because as you get, after a while, you just start getting up after 4 hours of sleep because you can't sleep. It's like not a big deal. So, but training, this is the practice of your Christian life. So this is everything where you're working on yourselves and you're growing, etc. It's always going to be that my will obeys my mind better. I actually want to do what I know I should. And there's no way to do it except through pain. It's just it. And try and try and try. The good news is that every time it does get easier. You really start to do it more. Because the more you walk through that door to the fruitio, when you actually do it, the choice, you enter into stage 6, which is where you actually act on your choice. And what happens when you act on your choice? 7, you enjoy your end. Ah. This is the picture that hangs over the light switch. That's why that picture for me is like every time I see it, I'm just like, I did it. And I allow myself that because that's what it was all about. I think about your graduation day. It moves me, it keeps me going. My next picture is the sign in our front yard, a real sign. I keep trying to design it. Home of St. John's Institute, just St. John's Institute. Brick with metal. No, wood. In any case, I will be leaving, guys, it's just like this. And I'm going to have a picture of you guys on the back. We'll do one silly one where you're all jumping or something. I'm not jumping, but you know, jump. And then, my Father Francis and I have a team out there. I already know it's this like a picture, and it's going to go right in front of me every day because I'm going to enjoy it. Just thinking of you guys walking down and what it's going to mean. I'm already writing my speech in my brain. I'm going to say on graduation day, and all that seems really silly, but that's actually what makes my heart sing.
No, we're planning on coming back at like the 10-year anniversary to tell all
The
the
students
the
about the
students
first year.
Yeah.
I remember when.
You have to be able to have that. That in Latin, enjoying your end, actually it's a Latin term. It's called fruitio. Fruitio. Fruition, right? Fruit. Fruit actually is the short of the Latin fruitio, which means pleasure, enjoyment. It's not pleasure, it's enjoyment. To enjoy. It's to fruitio, it is what it sounds like if you're like me. Words mean something to you. Fruitio. 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 What does it mean? It means to fruit. Have you ever fruited? If you have, then you know. This is different than art. So, like, my end is not that picture. But the reason I want a picture is because it's a symbol, a tangible image of that end. So how do you enjoy the end? This is what's cool. Is that the fruitio, you enjoy the end by acting. Okay, so I'm going to put it in philosophy first. In accord with it. And then I'll use the poetry now. Dancing. With your love. This is neat because we think of fruitio as I'm sitting back and I'm going to drink this awesome can. Oh my gosh, the color. Like, I want to eat this. They nailed the marketing. You want this. This looks like pleasure. It looks like pleasure. And so if I could just drink that, what would I be doing? I will be acting. All of my sensations would be wrapping itself around the flavors that are in my mouth. As it eases itself down the back of my throat, my body would embrace it and then spread it out like an oil in my esophagus. I would massage this into my body. My body and these flavors would dance in this marvelous exchange where I'd close my eyes and I would be alone with it. No one, for a few brief moments, I would be in bliss. Not because I'm just sitting there, because I'm engaging the good. Got it? Now that...
about V8 again.
I just want too much color. That they nailed it. I would spend $4 for that.
I don't even know what this is or where
And it's
it
like
came
what,
from.
8 ounces? It's 8 ounces, like some sort of joke. It's not even 12 ounces.
It is
How many?
12.
12 ounces. Okay, so like whatever.
I don't know where it came from. But
They reshaped the
it-
can so it looks like quality. they nailed it. Like, I would spend $4 for that, and it's worth like 10 cents. But my point is like, okay, that's a sensual image where your body makes contact. Then if I was really gonna do it, I would like starve myself for like 3 hours, and then I would freeze it, and then I would do something to my mouth where I'd prepare it, my peppermint or whatever, so that every sense organ in my mouth is ready to meet the sensual joys and flavors of that thing. And then I would close my room and make it all white, and then I would drink my drink on a white carpet, like, right? Like, you add this because what are you doing? You're like, my body will meet, my senses will meet their good. Okay, now, that's a sensual thing. Imagine if that was spiritual. So what that would mean would be like, to enjoy my end, if I really, really wanted to be a friend with somebody, I would do what it took to be able to enjoy them. I would have done that with a friend. So what would it take? It would take, leave this work behind, turn off our phones. Let's do something that we love to do together, undisturbed. And then while we're doing it, you almost know, like, no, let's not talk about that. It's kind of cool when you're with real friends. Let's not go down that path. Let's stay right where the two of us are harmonizing. We can just click and be together. When you have those moments, it's like time just doesn't exist. It's like you almost like you're just dancing. And that's like impossible to even think of like disharmony. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. That's an example of fruitio. Fruitio is not, again, sitting back and like making it all about me. It's me saying, I made many choices to have this with you. And now I'm going to do it with you. Which is that enjoyment of each other. So that would be an example of another type of end. You could add a different type of end, God. So from sensual to friendship, what's fruitio with God look like? Silent prayer. That's really the high point of the soul. That's why the brothers do it. It's because that's everything. That's where I have nothing else but Him. That's why we wear our hoods. Because when you wear a hood, what you're actually saying is, I want to only see what I love. Nothing else. All you. Only you. So we take a vow of celibacy, and we live in a community that's dedicated to Him, and we have no family or other loves in our lives that would diminish the purity of that one love for Him. And so we're always on guard to keep our senses mitigated and to keep ourselves hungry, so that when we go to that chapel, we're with the one who we love. And there's a life that's like so much better than everything else that we could have. That's why then we leave everything behind. Because we found a new life. Why would you want to do anything else but that? Fruitio is a powerful, powerful, powerful. And you have to learn to do it in small doses, in small ways. You have to, because it's the why for the whole purpose, the whole process. It gets to that spot, and some people miss on it. They don't allow it to be there. They get to the end of the day, and they waste their dinner and still being in a bad mood. Dinners are supposed to be mini fruitios. Day is supposed to be over. You've sung the Magnificat at Vespers. You're supposed to then gather with your friends and enjoy company. But instead, we invent the light bulb so that the day never ends. And we look upon dinner as another blip before we do our evening work. And we get depressed because we never stop. Fruitio, fruitio. Okay, so can you go back to me with that? Can you give me an example or give me a question about those different stages? We didn't talk about acting on your choice, but I can do that in a second. Talk about fruitio. Who in your life have you ever seen do fruitio? Or have you ever had an example of fruitio in your own life?
I would say just with like how you were explaining it, with friends, like my best friend and I just kind of know each other's like role and where we fit, and like even when she was here and we were climbing the incline, there's like I know what she wants to do, what she wants to accomplish, and she knows what I want to accomplish, and so we were able to like separate from each other so that we could each accomplish what we wanted to accomplish, but then meet each other at the top and still enjoy each other's company and
And what choices did you make to have that fruitio?
like what do you mean?
Why don't you think about it? What did you do to get to that point? You had an incredible moment. You climbed the incline. The two of you are better friends now for having climbed the incline. You experienced something that's like a neat thing. And what did you pay to get to that price? To get to that spot?
I mean, as far as like, there's a certain amount of humility in like knowing that you can't both be trying to climb at the same pace.
But I want to go even back more practically. Like,
Okay.
she flew to be here.
Yeah.
And then you separated from what you had to do to spend time in Colorado Springs. You had to eat food. You had to sweat. Like, look at all the choices that you made so that you could have that one moment with your friend.
So do you want me to go through like?
No, I just want you to be aware of, you don't have to tell us, makes sense. But like, do you see how like in Bree's mind, she had an intention that's like, hey, I have a friend and we never do anything together. So if I don't do something with my best friend in Colorado this year, I spent a whole year here, 6 months, but I spent that much time here, and so like, I haven't even had my friend out yet. So Bree's intention moved you, and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but like, I got to do something because she's my friend. Well, maybe we could come out for a weekend. Yes, even though you're in your most stressful semester, and you're at the end of your most stressful semester, and there's all kinds of craziness, you're like, between this and this is more important. And so you made deliberation, you thought about it, you talked about it, and you made a decision, executable action. We're going to go on Saturday to do the incline. And then you actually had to get up and get your stuff down there, which was crazy. And then you did it. You had to overcome the fear of the incline or whatever. You did the incline, and as you did it, there was this fruitio that probably made it all worth it. And that's cool because that means, to use a different color here, that fruitio actually, this is really kind of cool, goes back and strengthens the intention. The intention is for the end. This one is not officially dead.
Close.
The intention is for the end. So it's a kind of a neat point. That means that an intention is you being like, I really love Courtney. Whatever it means. So even though you're like, wait, we're not together, we didn't do anything, it doesn't matter. Intention's like, no, I want to be with her. She's my bud. And the more that I am with her, the more that I want to be with her. See how that works? And then that drives this huge, double arrow of energy to do what it takes and fight what you got to do to get to this fruitio, which comes back and makes it even sweeter. So as you do these things with your friend, the more the times that you make those choices and do those things and reach that, the deeper your friendship will go. And if you don't, it'll eventually fizzle out. This is why, upon graduation, the two of you are going to promise to just call me every month and just have Fabrizio. We'll have alumni time together just with me because it's awesome. And the more that we do that, the more we know that we're going to be each other's streamers. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you know you have a real friend.
Will you be at mine?
Yeah, of course I
are you
will.
coming to mine?
Kidding me? Well, I'm not your director, so there's no guarantees.
Oh.
I'm just joking. Let me tease you. Okay, you guys see that this thing right here? I really want you to internalize. I want you to know it, because this will make you strong women. It'll make them strong men too if there were many, but there's no many. This will make you strong people. Yeah, man. Strong women. Because now when you can think, where in my life do I go crazy? Some of us deliberate, whoa, it's really hard to go to the one. So what they could do is they could talk to their spiritual director, their counsel about how do I go from the many to the one? How do I make that choice of one? Some of you, it'll be the Imperium. I know exactly what I should do, I just don't do it. Weakness there. And then you can analyze why. So this is like what I just gave you there, this is like what goes on in the spiritual director's brain. They know it or they don't. I mean, like, this is kind of like Father Philippe's way of doing it. But this is the mechanism of the human heart. So I really want to do it, things far, but then I just fail. All right. So why do you fail? I don't know, but like, you know, I really want to talk to my wife, but then I just start drinking instead because I just get so anxious. Okay. So your Imperium is that you've got to work on that drinking. If you worked on the drinking, you would listen to your wife. That's right. All right, so here's now your course of action. To get through that wall over your drinking, I want you to give up alcohol for 6 months. And to do that, I want you to get an accountability partner and a prayer group and a this and this and this. If we can do that, then we'll get your ability up to do, you know, and then you're working on that person as they're trying to overcome. This is like a silly example of how it's not like a plan, you know, but like this is all in there. And every person lives it out differently. It's not a mechanism. It's elements that are in the soul. Some people it all happens just instantly. My grandfather, for example, we'll talk about this whole thing happening instantly. My grandfather was at the gym. This is 1934, Toledo, Ohio, at the CYO club. He tells us about this story. And he's exercising at the gym. He used to say, I used to be on the horse, the sawhorse. I think he was just making it up. My grandpa made up a lot of stories. Like, I mean, seriously, but like back in the day, maybe that's what they did, just work out on the old sawhorse, you know. So, anyway, so he was on the horse, and so he said, and then he came off, and then he looked up, and on the other side of the gym, my grandmother had walked in. And he turned to his friend, Floyd, or I think it was back in the day when guys were named Floyd. Turned to Floyd and was like, Floyd, see that girl? I'm going to marry that girl. He did. Instantly. He'd be like, must be nice. Some people actually don't even labor in life. They things just boom, they just do it. Other people never get to Fabrizio. Certain cultures emphasize different things. The French, you know, might emphasize one thing. The Germans emphasize another. Different family settings. You might have a family that's all about the action, and it's not about the, you know. So all they're focusing on is the work. No one ever enjoys the work. There's never any celebration. There's never any thank yous. There's never any squeeze of the hand, you know, any gentleness, tenderness. That's all Fabrizio's about. We're just back in the action. There's got to be another action. So there's a family restlessness, you know, and then that family restlessness can create a rebel who hates it because all we do is just one thing and the next. There's no point. And so he leaves the farm behind in Western Ohio, leaves the farm behind. He goes and becomes a fruitcake, you know, somewhere, whatever. How did that happen? Well, if I was analyzing it, you know, your family culture, did you ever, like, I don't know, play softball for 4 hours at a family reunion? No, you never did. No. The human heart needs that. It's kind of cool. I wish I had some feedback from you.
I think you see Fabrizio a lot, like in older people, like older married couples that are like together and they've retired and they've kind of like made these choices, regarding jobs and different like the choice they made to reach their intention, and they kind of get to like this point in their life where they can just like sit back and now enjoy their grandkids and enjoy their house and all these things that they've been living for years. I think that's like one of the most obvious ways of seeing that.
Would either of you be willing to say where you're strongest and where your weakest on these? You don't have to. It's a little bit revelatory, but.
I would say that just being sure of that intention and then knowing the choice is hard.
Going to the one. And remember that's what choice, I want you to get out of the choice, many to one. I gotta do one. Can't do many.
Yeah, I think I start spinning in deliberation and don't ever make it past that. Like, you know, like, visualize it, but then like making the choice and abandoning all of the other options. Is probably my weakest.
Yeah, because they're all good, right?
I mean, you can have hundreds of choices and uncertainty about which one is right or better or which one you should do over.
Cool.
I think that usually if I am clear on the choice, like if I am certain, then acting on it isn't. I mean, it's not the difficult part. Like
Is the certitude? That's hard. So is that what's keeping you from the many to the one? It's just knowing that that's the one? Sometimes what can help in that situation is just to make it a little bit of a smaller step. So kind of like, all right, well, I'll do it. I'll try this, and I can always fall back. I have to try something, so I'll try this for 2 weeks, or I'll try this for the next thing. You kind of break it to a smaller thing, so that you can see actually it is good, and then you just keep going, or it's bad, and I can pull back.
Because I think that there also can be an issue with, like, if your intention is broad, I mean, if you say, like, you want to live your life for God, like, you could be a shrimp farmer in Florida and do that. Like, I mean, you could
Yeah,
test grapes
so then
in
make the
California,
intention
like,
a little
you
bit more
could-
narrow. Make it a
yeah.
little bit more narrow then. I want to live my life for God by service or by family. That's already one thing. By none or family. Family, okay. Well, then, right? So where can I find a guy? A lot of them on the shrimp farms. Now all of a sudden you find yourself a shrimp farmer. You're all just down there pining away for little Maybelline. Where's old Maybelline? All right, cool. There's many more things that could go with that. I think we've had a nice, neat class. Might as well finish it with you understanding things. Good. Let's all drink these amazing juice cans.